I don't know where do I sit? Can I move this?
You can move it if you want.
Got my CD there.
Your CD, your hidden CD.
The hidden CD.
Think tank, basically.
No, it's not think tank. I don't want to give away.
Okay.
I don't want to blow my load.
We're not going to blow. No loads will be blown. I'm not blowing my load either. My CD is safely ensconced on the media shelf.
Okay, how do we start?
Should we begin by introducing what this cast is, what a Copcast is?
I suppose we should.
Let's go for it.
Do you want to do that?
Well, basically, this is hopefully the first of many in a series of recordings between Adam and myself called Copcast.
Hello.
That's Adam, as you can tell. I'm Terry. And basically what a Copcast is Adam interviewing me, asking me questions about my general life, and just me rabbiting on and telling some interesting stories for the benefit of those who might find that vaguely entertaining.
I think they will find it entertaining.
We shall see.
We shall see.
So, have you got anything you want to kind of kick off with, Adam?
Well, no.
This is off to an extremely bad start. In fact, you've had months to prepare and haven't got a single question.
Well, no, I can't defend myself. It's a bad start. Is this what it's like with noses?
We have noses, we generally try and have a pre-10-minute discussion before the recording starts and think of things to talk about.
I'm feeling pressure. I'm feeling that this might be the pre-discussion, but at the same time, it might actually be.
And the thing with noses is generally it's improvised, really. So if we'll see things or someone will come up with a funny story.
Noses.
Things naturally flow.
Yeah, but of course we haven't got the Jevster here, or
we haven't got the Jevster or Mr. Haling.
I would say the wonderful Bruce Haling.
The wonderful Bruce Haling.
Sadly, he couldn't be here tonight.
Could be here tonight.
Terry has tried to ambush me. With,
There's been no ambushing at all. Let's get that for the record. There's been no ambushing. Adam is paranoid.
No, we've been for a lovely pub lunch today in Wivenhoe.
The Rose and Crown.
Terry's new stomping ground. This is awful. This is the worst.
It was great. I mean, I had a wonderful baguette of pesto, tomato and mozzarella with a plate of chips. Adam went for the unconventional steak Allen chips. He was very concerned about it when he first.
I felt it could have been a mistake, but it was okay. It was okay. It was a good pie, steak and ale pie.
Well, you accused me of nursing my pints.
You have a habit of nursing pints. You're nursing your coffee. I can see that.
I'm nursing my coffee.
No, so it's a beautiful day in Colchester. We're hanging out in Darcy House
for the last ever time.
The last ever time. Terry's moving on to bigger and better things. He's going down the road to Wivenhoe.
Yep.
And I'm sure that the people of Wivenhoe will welcome him with open arms.
I'm sure they would. I mean, Wivenhoe it's known for being a bit eccentric, a bit bohemian, a bit arty. At the same time, very old-fashioned. Which is kind of sums me up. Eccentric. I wouldn't say bohemian or arty.
No.
Eccentric and old-fashioned.
Terry, I can't go on without bringing up what just happened.
No, this cannot happen. For a person who probably wants to run for public office at some time in the future, this is one story that can never be allowed into the public domain.
I feel it needs to be told.
It was a moment of madness, a moment of pure utter madness on my part. I was frustrated by Adam's incessant question in the car on the way home about an incident with a guy whose name I will not reveal.
I think we can call it the marshal incident, can't we?
Just putting out there for all to see. And he's still on my Facebook, so you might even hear this, so that's not a great thing to do.
Okay, we'll call it we'll call it C, Mr. C.
Mr. C, the big C.
Is Mr. C a bit too close to the actual name?
I think with the big C, the big C.
Okay, for the purposes of this telling, it's the big C, and Terry had a rather strange meeting with the big C, whereby a simple game of pool descended into a very violent, or there was a threat of violence, very violent affair, and Terry made his feelings known, and we never really got to the end of, or we never really found out what happened to the big C afterwards. Terry became quite cagey, and then Terry stopped talking altogether. after accusing me of talking bullshit. And then we are driving back to Colchester. Beautiful sunny day, and some children are walking by on the pavement, and I don't think I do the sound justice, Terry, but you made a noise unlike any noise I've ever heard before, and we didn't get time to see the reaction of the children, but we're guessing it wasn't good. But we were thrown into hysterics by this sudden outburst. Maybe you should let people know what happened, Terry.
I think you described it very aptly. I was feeling very frustrated about the conversation that had taken place, and I was just sitting in stony silence, and I saw these children, whatever you want to call them, walking past the side of the road, and they seemed very cocky. I have a huge disdain for cockiness in any shape or form, especially in children. I think it's completely unnecessary. Children should be seen, not heard, and seen not to have any cockiness.
Yes.
And they were displaying unnaturally high levels of cockiness.
I don't think they were. I think they were just...
Well, I think you were kind of... You had your eyes focused on the road.
Well, I am a good driver, and I was focusing on the job in hand. But to me, the children didn't seem to provoke that kind of reaction. I thought it was heavy-handed.
It
frankly.
possibly was, but someone had to bear the brunt of my annoyance, and unfortunately it was the cocky kids who got the full Cooper whiplash.
Yeah. I'm not very good at describing stuff like that, but it was quite a bizarre incident. I'm sure you'll agree.
We were laughing heavily for the next 10 minutes.
We were laughing heavily for the next 10 minutes.
And it almost brought out a second bizarre situation when Adam was pulling into the car park down Priory Street, and there was this young man and lady trying to cross the road, and Adam let them walk across. They seemed a bit hesitant to do so. We were still laughing at the early incident. They gave us some funny looks.
The lovers, yeah.
And then we'd parked the car. I say we. I mean, you parked the car. I just was sitting in there at the time. And then we walked past, and then walking back the other way. And then we started bursting out laughing again about the incident. God knows what they must have thought. Why we were laughing at them. Why we were laughing just randomly.
Yeah.
It was very strange.
It was a strange one.
It was indeed.
Now, I think we should talk a bit, Terry, about... And we've spoken about this before, many years ago. Because not everybody listening may be familiar with Terry Cooper.
Probably not.
Now, what I want to do is ask you to tell me in as few words as possible.
Who is Terry Cooper?
Who is Terry
I was
Cooper?
expecting it. It was a question asked to me by Adam 4 years ago. 4.5 years ago now. 4.5 long years ago. Back when I was a second year at Southend.
Custard cream.
And I think the answer I gave was kind of bleak. Terry Cooper is...
I think it was tinged with sadness.
It was tinged with sadness and with regret. That I hadn't felt I'd become the person I wanted to become. The response was, Terry Cooper is someone.
Yeah. And well, you're very much a self-made man.
A self-made man in the loosest possible sense.
You're a self-made man, but that was before. That was before you had made yourself.
I wouldn't say I've made myself. I don't know. At the back of my mind, I'm always hoping, to try and get by, and yeah. Since that interview was done, I've now finished 2 degrees.
Growing. Would you say you're growing?
Growing every single day. Finished 2 degrees, and now in my second job, leaving the house or the flat I've lived in the last 2 years, moving to a new area with a new man and a new life.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where I am now, but yeah, you're going to an area with a thriving art scene. Apparently, there's a poet there. I've
heard from my good friend Aloysius Nightingale, one of the modern day celebrity.
A very dashing looking fellow, if I may say so.
He's a very dashing, dapper, handsome young man.
Lovely head of hair.
Lovely head of hair. He tells me actually that in the road that I've chosen to live on, there is a well-renowned, in Wivenhoe certainly, celebrity poet who takes it upon himself to introduce himself to all new residents.
It's very nice.
And he's apparently very nice. But Queen's Road apparently is the road where all the eccentrics live. So I think I fit in quite well there.
In good company, yeah.
Good company indeed.
You're looking at the copy of The Strokes' Is This It on the table, which Terry has very kindly provided.
I was actually trying to look underneath what it was, and I remembered it was the Pulp album that you lent me. Pulp, the early years, 1983 to 1992. And for most of you who know me, I'm a big Pulp fan. And this should be...
no secret, is it?
It's no secret.
It's out there.
It's out there. It looks an interesting album. I've only heard from his and hers onwards, so like the 1994 era.
You're quite forthright on music, aren't you, Terry?
Oh, bloody hell, yes. I'm well known for it, and anyone who's ever spent any considerable time with me will know that I don't suffer fools gladly when it comes to music.
No, you know what you like.
Yeah, I know what I like, and I attempt to force my opinions on other people when it comes to music, and I constantly give them CDs, say listen to this, listen to this, listen to this, you will like it.
Yeah.
And it winds people up sometimes, but...
No, I think it's a good time to mention that part of the Copcast will be a segment where Terry introduces a track that he has chosen specifically for you, the listeners of the show and the fans of the show. I don't know if we should move on to that now, Terry, or if we should carry on talking. But obviously, there's so much gold that we've been talking about at the moment.
Yeah, I think we'll give it 5-10 minutes and we'll play my mystery track. Now, so that's my liking of Pulp, and I do like my music.
You do? You've got quite a media centre in your... For me,
as I'm impressed with my so-called media centre, for the benefit of those that have never been round, it's not so much a media centre, such as a creaking old shelf full of CDs, books.
I'd say it's a shelving unit.
A shelving unit, a four-stack shelving unit, no less, full of CDs, books, DVDs.
It's swollen, isn't it?
It's swollen. It's dented. It's under the weight, and there's music, there's CDs, DVDs all over the place. And when I do move to my new place, I'm going to have a nice big bookshelf, separate, things, my CDs and my other stuff.
Well, I mean, regardless of how aesthetically pleasing it is, it's definitely the centrepiece of the flat, isn't it?
It is.
People come from far and wide.
I think the globe is a centrepiece of the flat.
The globe isn't good. I think people come from far and wide to ogle Terry's media centre.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, interesting story about a guy I know, one of the good guys of this world, a young man called Callum Moulton. The first time he came around to my flat, it was, I think, about 1 a.m, very, very drunk. I think we stopped off here to get something before going out to the castle pub. A fellow Liberal. We'll get to that later. I know you're determined to...
I'm dying.
Hunt to get to the root cause of my newfound liberalism. But he said the one thing... He remembers nothing about the flat the first time he's round. The one thing he does remember is the globe. I think it's eye-catching. People come and see the globe.
It's magnificent. Because Terry is also a musician. A writer and
a
musician.
musician in the loosest possible sense.
He's released 2 albums I would say varying qualities, but they're not really. They're both straight up, straight as a die, straight as an arrow,
straight and true,
cast iron classics.
So yeah, I've noticed earlier you were eyeing up my Wallanders. You take a keen interest in my Wallanders, don't you?
I do.
For those that don't know, which is not many, I presume most of you listening will know I'm a huge fan of what I like to call Nordic noir.
Can often be found in various parks, thumbing his Wallander aggressively.
I like that text you sent me a few months back when you said I was found in the grounds as
you were spotted.
Spotted in the grounds of St Mary the Virgin Church, aggressively thumbing my Wallander. And
the great irony being that you were
in the grounds of St Mary the Virgin Church that very night. But I didn't have my Wallander with me, unfortunately.
You did in spirit.
In spirit, I did.
Given the choice.
Given the choice, I would have had it. But...
If you could thumb your Wallander, you would.
I like the term fun.
Well, yeah, it's much less.
It's much
lewd.
less vulgar than.
Yeah.
It's much less used, much less vulgar than finger. I like to think of people thumbing things.
Thumbing. It's underrated.
It's an underrated pastime.
Yeah, we should all thumb more. So we've briefly skirted over the issue, but Terry Cooper, the Terry Cooper that we know and love, has recently, two life-changing events really. One being the conversion to the Liberal Democrats.
Indeed.
And he's also become a pescatarian.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about that, Terry?
Where do you want to start?
Well, you told me an interesting story today in the public house.
Adam wanted to know why I became a pescatarian. I don't think I've no idea what he thought my original reasons were.
Well, it's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
People who give up meat or who give up anything, it's a major decision.
It was mainly brought on from a little bit of a health scare that I had. It's not funny.
It's not funny, but I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
I'll try not to laugh if you.
Bit of a health scare, and I was kind of told to completely cut out red meat from my diet. And
you described it as being an acute pain in the chest.
It was something I've been suffering from a while, and decided to get myself checked out, and I'm glad that I did. So yeah, I've stopped red meat, and I decided while I was here to go the whole hog and cut down the chicken as well, mainly because
the chicken's a killer, isn't
it? The red meat was medical. The other meat is more ethical in a way. But there we go.
It's more ethnic.
Don't say that.
Oh God, I don't even know what it means.
I don't know what that means even.
Your reaction was just bizarre. Don't say that.
You don't.
Okay, no, you're looking at me like we're reaching that point where you might have a funny turn again.
I can assure the listeners I'm not. I'm in full control of my faculties.
No, so the conversion to munching on fish was brought about by the doctor's advice.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you're feeling much better for it?
I am, already. And the other thing, the Lib Dem thing, it's a long story. Everyone who's going to be listening to this already knows it, so I won't bore them with it. Probably.
No. Well, it's probably not a very interesting story anyway.
It was basically brought about by the fact that I'd been a sort of Tory for a while.
Avid.
I wouldn't say avid, but a sort of Tory for a while. And I was at a house party last November, and there I met...
Things just came to a head, didn't they?
I met the wonderful and enigmatic Mr. Callum Moulton for the first time, and we were having a discussion about politics, and we realised that there's a bit more in common that we had than I first thought. That was very interesting. And then I ran into a chap who, an avid Tory, and we had a discussion about, I think, tuition fees. And I said, well, actually, I'm completely against tuition fees. He goes, all right, well, the line is that 9,000 tuition fees are what's needed. And I said to him, well, this is not about the Tory party line, this is about our personal opinion. I'm just asking you, what's your personal opinion? The official line is, and he started actually shouting at me down the hallway, and it was just ludicrous. And
that's not the done thing, is it?
It's not the done thing.
People don't shout at Terry Cooper.
No one shouts at Terry
in
Cooper
a hallway or not.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
But things, I've did a bit more research in that, and I've realised I do have more common with the Liberal Democrats than any other party, and I do think they're the party which stands up for most people's rights and for...
Yeah, and let's not beat around the bush. Terry has got political aspirations.
Well...
I mean, we don't want to jeopardise Terry's chances in any way, but Terry wants power.
I want power at all. I just want things that I believe in and things I feel are right for the country to happen. It's not about power. I don't really aspire to that at all.
Terry wants to make a difference.
Terry, that's yeah. I fully endorse that. Terry wants to make a difference.
But at the moment, he's got a career to think about.
I have a career to shut up.
I am like the earliest formative musical experience that I can remember. We were on holiday at Butlins, and we went to the we went to the pub or the club or whatever it was. It
Yeah.
was basically it was like a little clubhouse. But
I'm well aware of these kind of places.
yeah, they're quite popular. And there was this guy who was a Shakin' Stevens tribute act, and his name was Rebel Dean. And his set basically was he would do covers of Shakin' Stevens songs to a backing track, and you know he was quite good. He did his job, but then at the end, the encore, when the crowd were baying for more, and you know they were baying for more, he came out with a transparent electric guitar, and he plugged it in. You could see through this guitar. It was amazing. It had LEDs and it was flashing different colours. He plugged it in, and then he played "Love Is All Around" as one long guitar solo. It was like a 4-minute solo, played by a Shakin' Stevens tribute act called Rebel Dean. And I remember seeing him and thinking, I want to be that man. And that's
See, I thought your formative, one of your first early musical experiences was the Elvis lookalike at your primary school. Not the Elvis lookalike, the Elvis sound like.
Terry Lee Lewis.
Terry Lee Lewis. For those who don't know, which is no one, but Adam has got a wonderful story to tell about this guy at his primary school called Terry Lee Lewis.
Terry Lee Lewis was originally called Terry Ridley. He was a lovely child. We all knew him, we all loved him, and he loved music, and he was into boogie and rock and roll, you know, all the old classics.
Rock a Boogie Band.
He has a band called Terry Lee and the Rock a Boogie Band. Lives out in America. You know, he's living the dream.
Did I tell you that I think back in the days of MySpace, their drummer actually sent me a friend request.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I sent a message.
He was a very amorous man. I think he used to do it to a lot of the boys.
I sent him a message saying, "Are you the drummer from the Terry Lee and the Rock a Boogie Band?" And I think his reply was, "I sure am!" Exclamation
He
mark.
sure is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were at primary school, and Terry was serenading a girl a cappella. He was up on a bench and he was serenading her, and suddenly a crowd gathered and swarmed around Terry as he was serenading this girl.
Not me, by the way. This is Terry Lee Lewis. Just
Terry-
for the people who...
Terry Lee Lewis, formerly known as Terry Ridley, and he was singing, and the crowd were crazy, and they gathered, and they grew, and eventually Terry was lifted. He was launched into the air and carried by the crowd, who were chanting, "Terry, Terry, Terry, Elvis, Elvis, Elvis," over and over again, and Terry burst out crying whilst he was sailing on the sea of hands in the primary school playground. You know, I've never serenaded a girl on a park bench, and if I had, there's never been a flash mob that's descended on me.
My defining moment when it comes to my musical tastes were when I was at sixth form. I don't know why I went to bloody sixth form in the first place. It was a horrible 2 years. I think because I was told lies about the local college by my stepsister who went there. I just dropped out. But I did know two of my best friends, Lee and Lance, who decided to stay on for sixth form as well, so I thought it won't all be too bad. So I stayed on, and it was basically an extension of school. The lies that we were told, you were going to be treated like adults, we weren't treated like adults, we were still treated like kids. Okay, we had a separate building, we could wear non-uniform, but we were still, you know, treated like kids.
The Benfleet Boys.
The Benfleet Boys. And it was very cliquey in the common room. You had the kind of the sports athlete people in one corner, the popular people in another corner, and in our corner we had the goths and the grungers and the rest of the outcasts. But we was, I mean, I didn't like goth and grunge music, but they used to let us sit with them, you know, just because we were all outcasts together. But we had control of the stereo, so we had a choice of music, and occasionally someone would put on something that I'd quite like, which would turn out to be indie music. And that is how I developed a massive taste for...
You're well known for it.
As I like to call it, or Adam coined the term, and I've used it quite often, melodic wimp rock.
I didn't know you used it, but
I use it all the time.
Well, I'm flattered.
I know you have a lot of disdain for some of the music I listen to.
Well,
Camera Obscura you hate, Elbow you hate.
Well, Elbow. Where do you start with Elbow? We've had this conversation today.
I don't have it again.
No, I don't want to have it again, but I feel it needs to be said that, you know, this whole kind of wearing a coat and drinking ale thing, it's got to stop. I don't like Guy Garvey.
I think Guy Garvey's a bloody good man. He's a bloody good man.
No, he's got fat on his own self-importance, and he can go away.
It's so fucking harsh. I love Elbow. Everyone knows I love Elbow, so we'll leave it at that. Cast of Thousands. Listen to that album, and you will shed tears of joy.
Yeah, I mean that's a Terry's indie choice, isn't it?
It is a Terry indie choice, indeed.
Are there any other indie choices that you've got for us today?
In general,
as he looks over towards the media centre.
The media centre. Well, everyone kind of knows the music I'm heavily into. I'm well known and often derided for my love of Belle and Sebastian.
Yes.
It's just...
It's
something well known about me. If people sum up Terry in like 5 words, one of them would be Belle and Sebastian.
Yeah.
It's...
Why do you like Belle and Sebastian, Terry?
I've been into them for about 4 or 5 years, and I just think they're a bloody good band. And
famously, you wrote an article about your love of Belle and Sebastian, didn't you? For the Rabbit.
It was going to be about Belle and Sebastian. I
changed it at the last minute. Your love Doves. A very strange choice, because Doves aren't a band that are easy to love, I think.
It's strange. I do like Doves, and I think
I like Doves. I mean,
we've had this disagreement over albums. We both love Some Cities. I also I think it's their strongest album.
I
tend to disagree. It's a great album, but there's better. I like to say, The Last Broadcast is fantastic.
It's great, yeah.
But this is where we differ. I think their debut album, Lost Souls, is up there. You hate it.
I don't hate it, but I mean, my point with Doves, and we've had this discussion many times before, is that they haven't produced a great album. They've produced really good albums that have got great stuff on them, but there's also stuff that isn't that great on them. You know, what's that? Shadows of Salford on Some Cities.
It's
one of these days or something. Duff tracks. I mean, they're a band that I will to make a great album, and Kingdom of Rust had some absolutely sublime stuff on it. The title track was brilliant, but then there was stuff like, you know, the opening song,
Jetstream.
So Doves, more than capable, brilliant studio band, but I just don't think they've ever...
To be perfectly honest, the main reason I chose Doves was it could lead into a gag with the facts that I could say, actually, don't call the RSPCA, you know.
Yeah.
And also the facts about I had a pigeon fly from my front room window a year or so ago.
It's incredibly rare that you come up with a joke, so when you get the opportunity, you've got to seize it with both hands and put them in. I mean, that sounded quite harsh, actually, but... Just a wee bit. I've lost Cooper.
That was nothing like... That was far more aggressive than the noise I made. It was more of a groan. That was a kind of... a constipated yell that you made.
You made a constipated yell in the car?
It wasn't a constipated yell. It was more of a groan. It was more of a kind of subtle... I wouldn't say subtle, but it was more of a kind of...
I don't think you could ever recreate it.
It was just a kind of... a groan born out of frustration.
At youth, really?
At youth in general.
Young manhood.
Bloody hell, anyone under the age of 20 can
do one.
Yeah. I think Colchester has redeeming qualities, but unfortunately there's the ratio of good places to dives isn't it's too high. There's too many dives in Colchester.
Too many dives. Terry's life took an upward turn when you moved to Colchester. Would you say?
I'd say so.
The big decision to move
I
to...
forged a little life for myself here. I like it.
Forged. I like the idea of you forging a life for yourself, carving it out of rock.
Well, you know, I didn't be stuck in Benfleet all my life. I don't know. I've been in Colchester for 3 years, if you include my year at university. My
happiest years of your life.
Honestly, yeah. But, you know, things move on. I moved to Wivenhoe.
Yeah, and of course you're at Wickford working.
Wickford, that delightful place.
Holman's Mustard.
Adam has this thing where basically I work for a company called Holman's Insurance Brokers, and Adam thinks it's incredibly amusing to say Holman's mustard several times.
I do.
I get several texts from him saying things like Holman's mustard. Well, that didn't annoy me that much. Not as much as the one text which I received. The one text I received from Adam a few days or a week ago. I think a few of you, I've told a few people about this already. I woke up about 4 a.m. one morning last week to a text. Now, I'm of the general rule that I don't like to be texted after midnight.
There's a cut-off.
There's a cut-off. If the text is you're replying to me about something, or it's vaguely important, then I'll let you off the hook. You know, I'll let you off the hook. I've had a few post-midnight texts, and they've been relevant.
Well, I've sent a few before, and there's been no repercussions.
Yeah, but that's because we were in the middle of a conversation. This was out of the blue at 4 a.m, and I quote, one word, Coopertrousers. And I said to Adam, if there'd been someone with me in the flat, if there'd been an animal or a creature, it would have been kicked. If I had something to hand, I would have thrown it against the wall. I was never more pissed off in recent months than I had been woken from my slumber at 4 a.m. to hear my phone go off, thinking what's happened? Is it important? Is it something? And no, Coopertrousers.
I'd like to say that Terry's thumbing his phone now.
I'm fingering my phone. I'm now thumbing it.
I feel better now that you're thumbing it. Why are you texting me this crap at 4 in the fucking morning? Well, I think that's quite curt.
It's quite blunt. A blunt response was needed. So, shall we crack on with our music picks?
Yeah, let's crack on.
Do you want to go first, or?
Okay, I'll go first.
Do you want to kind of give a few hints about this? Well, guess it. And
I don't know if you need to guess it, but the track I've chosen, I'm a big fan of Terry's recorded works. You know, we've spoken about Terry being Ben Fleet's finest pop star. In my opinion, Ben Fleet's finest minstrel. So yeah. Anyway, and I'm sure Terry's familiar with the artiste that I've chosen, but it's a track from his second solo album, Proper. The artist is a chap named Scott Walker, and the song is called Next.
Very good.
An extraordinary piece of music. Chosen lyrically, of course, for its similarity to some of your...
I've never sung about visiting a whorehouse before, but...
it's my...
Or
one of my top...
slapping arses.
Well, different time. But absolutely brilliant track. One of my favourite songs about whorehouses and prostitutes in general. But I think my favourite is the classic disco track, December 1963, Oh What a Night. I'm disappointed, Terry, that you haven't reacted to the song in any way.
I think it's a great song, I told you. I think it's good.
Okay.
I'm a big Scott Walker, I've Scott 4, yeah. Now, the track that I'm going to be introducing you to today is by an artist very similar to an artist that I do like, who Adam despises. It's a guy called King Creosote, and I remember when we had our first trial Copcast.
Was that King Creosote?
King Creosote, or King... I don't know how you pronounce his bloody name.
I think the word creosote is pretty straightforward. Anyway, no, sorry, you go ahead.
Anyway, basically, we had a discussion, and I said he's very good, and you said he's like badly drawn boy about the crap songs, and it was a bit of a point in contention. But this is one of his more accessible tracks. It's from his first recognised big album called KC Rules OK, and it's a great little ditty called 678.
Terry, King Creosote, where did that choice come from again?
What, the choice today? Basically, the first time we were talking about doing this radio show several years ago, I just got into him at the time, and I think we were discussing him, and you said so much effect off. He's like Badly Drawn Boy, but without the crap songs.
Yeah.
Which I took offence to because I'm a bit of I'm a semi-decent
Yeah.
Badly Drawn Boy fan. I take umbrage at the fact that you say there's too many crap songs. He's released a couple of iffy albums, but I think The Hour of Beast, the About a Boy soundtrack, and Born in the UK are all top-notch albums.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you because it's relative, and if you like it, that's great. But personally, I just find it impossible to become excited about. I don't even know his name. Goff.
Damien Goff.
Damien Goff. I mean, the guy wears a hat all the time. He's concealing something. He's concealing something, Terry. And people like you are perpetuating the concealment of something.
Oh dear, bloody hell.
Yeah. Have we reached the terminus of this?
I think it's been an interesting first.
We've
podcast.
dipped our toes
into the murky depths that lay beneath us at some point. And I think let us know what you think. Give us some feedback. What you liked, what didn't you like?
Give Terry some feedback.
Yeah, don't give Adam feedback. Adam's a recluse. He won't like it if he's suddenly stalking on Facebook or anything. So
yeah, if anybody's going to do the stalking on Facebook,
Adam is a known Facebook stalker. So
I'm a known weirdo, I think. Yeah, a few things hanging over my head.
Hailing.
Laying low at the moment. Yeah, a few things hailing over my head.
A few things hailing over your head, indeed.
It's such a shame Bruce couldn't be here today, actually.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah. You can only look at the picture on your desktop so much. You need to have a guy in front of you.
I don't know if I should mention this or not. I will. Bloody hell. Adam's embarrassed me enough today. A brief while ago, Bruce Hailing uploaded some pictures to Facebook, including one of him at this club, looking bewildered and confused. Adam, for reasons known only to himself, sometimes goes through my Facebook friends list.
I don't go through the list.
You just pick up on known characters that I interact with, and then you look through their pictures.
I'm blessed with a memory that I remember names, I remember faces, and I remember
one of
Bruce.
those that you really like and admire is, for some reason, Bruce Hailing.
Well, I do admire Bruce Hailing, and whenever he comments on one of your stories, it's usually an insightful or humorous comment, and I respect that, and I respect Bruce. So
to cut a long story short, Adam was so taken with this photo that Bruce uploaded to Facebook of Bruce at this club that Adam downloaded it and set it as his desktop background for several weeks.
It was an outstanding photo.
It was a good photo, but still, it's a bit creepy, isn't it, to do that?
It is a bit creepy. But no, Facebook, as we all know, suggests certain things, and if your friends chat to other people, depending on their privacy settings, sometimes it ends up in my feed. Hence...
You often talk about things that I comment on people, and you say you pick up on stuff that you shouldn't even be seeing anyway. I don't know how you do it.
Well, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It plagues me. I can't log in without finding out that you've had a cup of tea with Gary Scott. And
For the record, I've never had a cup of tea with Gary Scott. That's just an example.
As this probably hasn't been very easy to listen to, we're thinking that we'll treat you to something rather special, and that is a couple of tracks, or a track from... Two tracks from...
Lee Salmon has just signed in.
Lee Salmon, Speak of the Devil.
Who the fuck is that in his profile?
That's Alec Baldwin.
I don't know. Lee Salmon, my friend Lee, has got a picture of Alec Baldwin as his profile. I don't know why.
Yeah. So we're going to play two tracks from one of Terry's various music projects. This is the Trevanian All Stars.
Indeed.
Which you and the Benfleet Boys have created.
The first track is called A Knee Slapper, and starring Adam John Gardner himself. It's a very short track, 29 seconds, so take it away, Adam.
A knee slapper. Come on, turn over. He undressed her as quickly as possible, but with her limp and uncooperative body, it wasn't easy. Indeed, some bits would have been comic, unless... Fuck, I can't do it. love you, Jonathan.
I'm a bit dubious about playing this to you. This was my recent attempt. It's called The Sergeant's Crotch, and I have some kind of mental breakdown halfway through reading it. It's pretty strange, but have a listen to that. And thank you for listening to the show in general. It's been a pleasure, and without further ado, The Sergeant's Crotch. Right.
Just yet. Okay, you ready?
Yep. The sergeant crossed and stood over him. Well, you'll not find anything slipshod like that in Lou. If I pass you, you're damned right qualified. I suppose you know what's best, but I'd like to explain something to you. Jonathan searched hard for the right words, and as he did so, he stared absent-mindedly at the sergeant's crotch. Growing uncomfortable. The sergeant shuffled for a moment. He sat down in the corner Jonathan's demeanour was uncertain. Well, if I explain this weird thing to you, perhaps you can give me some pointers. That's what I'm here for, mate. Oh, please, I can't. I'm sorry.
Crotch killed me.